This channel supports Extra Life in its efforts to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network. For more information about how to donate and join in their efforts, go to the link displayed here. Extra Life. Play games, heal kids. What up, everybody? This is your boy Black Magus, and I'm late on this because I've been dealing with a bunch of other stuff, so forgive me for the lateness of this, but we're going to talk about the Mason Rudolph, Myles Garrett situation on Thursday Night Football and the fallout behind it and people's opinions and all of that. So if you don't know, I mean, it's been a few days, so you should know if you're a sports fan. But just in case you don't know, and just in case you're not a sports fan and you don't really care, I think this is something that you might want to even still pay attention to, because there is some social aspects to this. And, it's a deeper thing than just football in a lot of ways. But anyway, so near the end of the Pittsburgh Steelers Cleveland Browns game, there was an altercation where Myles Garrett and the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mason Rudolph, kind of got into it. Mason Rudolph was pulling on Myles Garrett's helmet after they were arguing, and he kind of kneed him in the nuts. I didn't see it clearly. I gotta look at the video again. But people said he kneed him in the nuts, which that's some fucked up shit. Pull on his helmet was enough anyway. So they're just tempers flaring type of situation. It's a rivalry between two teams that hate each other. Anyway, so there was already bad blood there. Pittsburgh's losing. Did Pittsburgh lose? Yeah, Pittsburgh lost that game, I think. I don't know. I don't remember. I'm sorry. Full disclosure, I'm drunk at the time I'm recording this, but yeah, high intensity game, tempers flaring. They got into it, and as they're going back and forth and shoving, pushing, basically fighting, after the helmet pull by Mason Rudolph, Myles Garrett pulls Mason Rudolph's helmet off and proceeds to swing it at him and hit him in the top of the head. Luckily, he hit him in the top of the head with the back of his helmet, because God forbid he hit him with the crown of his helmet. He would have split that man's head open. He would have probably cracked his skull, maybe even killed him. And that proceeded to a bigger brawl where Marcus Pouncey, the center, the lineman for the Pittsburgh Steelers, jumps on Myles Garrett and starts pounding on him. Another another Cleveland player, I forget his name, comes in and goes at Pouncey, and it's just pure fucking chaos all over the place. All this ended in resulting in Pouncey, Garrett, and the other linebacker for the Browns getting ejected. Myles Garrett is now indefinitely suspended for swinging that helmet at him. And they're going over the things to see what the final full suspension is going to be. But as an indefinite suspension, he's not playing no more this year. They definitely said that. He may not play part of next year. They're still working on that. I think Pouncey got suspended for a game or two, and the other person for Cleveland got suspended. Only person who didn't get suspended in this whole altercation was Mason Rudolph, and we'll get to that in a second. Now, been a lot of tension and drama going on with this, because former NFL players have been outraged at what Garrett did. A lot of people have been saying how, yeah, he needed to get what he got. Some people have been calling on criminal charges possibly being brought up, or that there is a possibility that criminal charges could have been brought up, which, from my personal perspective, I understand that argument, because, yeah, again, had he hit him with the crown of the helmet or in a particular way or in a particular spot, God forbid what would have happened, he could have seriously injured that person. Furthermore, he weaponized the helmet. Let's not shy away from that fact. He used the helmet as a weapon. He was intending on harming that guy. He wasn't swinging it just to scare him off, or just to quote unquote send a message. He wanted to fuck him up for what he did. He lost it, and he even said it himself. He lost his mind, and he don't know why he went that far. He just completely lost it. and he regrets doing it. He even said it himself. So he knew he blacked out. Like, and people do that sometimes in situation. Is that a viable excuse? No. And I can't think of anything that would like make me do that. But again, never say never, because I think back to times where I've actually blacked out and I've swung on people, not with a fucking helmet or anything that could have bludgeoned them, but rage has driven me to certain points, and I think it's driven all of us to a certain point. And there's no excuse for it. It's like you can come up with all the reasons as to why, but especially in a situation like this, there's really no excuse for doing what he did. I could say I understand the concept of blacking out, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's okay, you just had a moment. It's all good, because at the end of the day, he could have fucked up this guy. More importantly, and again, this is from my perspective, it's not just about fucking up Mason Rudolph to me, especially when it comes to the like criminal aspect of it. Like people talking about how Pittsburgh could file charges or should file charges. I think they could file charges. I wouldn't say they should file charges, but it would be within their legal right, because again, he weaponized that helmet, and you can make a strong argument that what he did was assault with intent to harm, or whatever they call it. Because he wasn't just he wasn't swinging it for play. Let's be 100% real. He didn't swing it for play. He was going to fuck that dude up because he wanted to fuck that dude up at the moment, regardless of like whether or not it was a temporary mental state or not. But yeah, he would have fucked his life up, and in a way, he has fucked his life up, sorta, because right now he's suspended indefinitely, and God forbid the NFL decides like, yo, you can't play football no more, because that's his, means of making a living for him and his family. Again, he could have fucked up Rudolph, which would have ended his career, possibly, and ended his way of making money for his family, and himself. Had it been a different situation, he could have ended that guy's life. Again, the criminal aspect, he goes to jail or something, that makes his life even worse and makes his family life even worse. At the end of the day, his actions could have reverberated down the line and fucked up a lot of people for a long time. It's the reality, and it's like, yo, dude, I get it, you blacked out, but yo, you gotta think, is it worth it? Like, what could Mason Rudolph have done or said to make it worth the damage that you could have potentially did to your own life and the life of the people that you love? Because they would have been missing him. All that shit would have been fucked. Okay, so that's my opinion on the situation. Now we move on to the aftermath stuff with the suspensions and all that. Yeah, and definitely I'm fine with that. Figure out what's the proper length, but don't close off his avenue to making amends, because I do definitely believe him, and he was sincere in his comments about, hey, I lost it, and I don't know why. And he seemed to be sincere, be remorseful, regretful. So don't close off his avenue. Don't just all of a sudden paint him as a whole ass monster. And I know a lot of people feel like the whole saying they can make criminal charges seems to be demonizing him, but at the same time, I think it needs to be said for him to hear, even if you're not going to do anything, because people need to understand, and I think other players need to understand, this shit shouldn't happen. And I fear that they're going to make a unfair example of him, even though they're warranted to make an example of him in a way, because You want to nip this in the bud. You want to put a suspension in place to where players will realize, like, hey, we're not accepting this. Just don't go fucking overboard. Please, for the love of God, don't go overboard. Don't, like, give this guy no chance of making amends. Because, again, he seems sincere and remorseful, and, you know, he had a moment. You gotta, like, be sensible. You have to be sensible in this. On both sides. You know what I mean? Now, the Mason Rudolph thing. He didn't get suspended. And a lot of people are upset and angry. I think a lot of people are upset and angry for the wrong reasons. The reason I say the wrong reason is because a lot of this blowback has been framed in a very racial way. And I'm going to say this, a very unpopular opinion at this point. I don't think the dynamics are completely racial. Yes, there's going to be some racial element when it's a black person and a white person involved in a situation like this. It's kind of the natural state of things because you're always going to find people who are going to fall on one side of the fence. You're going to find white people going to fall on this side. You're going to find black people fall on this side. Both of them are wrong in a lot of ways for doing so. And the reason I say that is because, like, for one, NFL is fucked up in a way, like, that you can even take it beyond the race, because in altercations in the NFL, generally speaking, 9 times out of 10, and we all who actually watch the NFL, and for those of you who actually pay attention to the NFL and are, like, true fans, you know this to be true when I say this. 9 times out of 10, when there's an altercation, the NFL is always way more harsher on the person who retaliates than the person who initiates. It's a weird fucking, I don't know if it's a, like, law or rule, but we've seen it all the time. Somebody punches at somebody, and then the person punches him back. Ref throws the flag. That person who punched back gets kicked out the game. That person who punched back gets the fine. That person who punched back gets the suspension. It's happened way too much. It's a fucked up, flawed way of doing things. It's just dumb. If you start a fight, you get ejected and you get kicked, you get suspended and fined, or suspended or fined, however you want to do it. If you retaliate, same thing, equal. Y'all want to stop people from fighting? Don't be like hockey and, like, sanctioning that shit, you know, in any way. Because when you let the person throw the first blow, you kind of are, like, allowing stuff to happen, because you're allowing him to get his shit off. But then when the second person gets the shit off, it's like, oh no, we can't have that. No, that don't fucking work. And Mason Rudolph should be. I say this with, like, you know, all serious. Mason Rudolph should be. Furthermore, if you want to really truly evaluate these situations and met out punishment accordingly and fairly, look at how it goes. Like, Mason Rudolph was an extra as fuck in this shit. And you just go after people who retaliated and who did the aftermath of it. No. He fucking needs to go. He seriously needs to, like, sit his ass down for a game or two. Because he didn't have to do all that shit. Like, he was wrong. But at the same time, I have to stress this again. Like, caution yourself in saying that this is just a black and white issue. Because I think it's kind of bigger, and I hate to say it this way because I totally understand why you would feel that way. Especially when it comes to someone like Mason Rudolph, who, if you are a more liberal-minded person, you're probably not happy with him anyway, because Mason Rudolph has been known to, like, support some things that, you know, a lot of people don't care for. In particular, he's against what Colin Kaepernick did. He is a Trump supporter. He's a MAGA head, which, again, I partially understand, like, why you would go to the racial thing too, because knowing that this guy is a MAGA head, yeah. Yeah. I understand why you would start bringing up that, because it's stuff like that. But, you know, At the same time, let's be honest. If in certain situations we would support him too, because if you're a Patriots fan, you're in support of fucking Tom Brady. He has been openly like a huge supporter of Trump and has worn his hat in the locker room around his teammates, the MAG hat. So shit like that. Nick Bosa and his whole family. But San Francisco fans, y'all loving that motherfucker because he's like pressuring the quarterback like shit and helping y'all defense be one of the top rated defenses. Stuff like that. But that's a whole nother like Black thoughts anyway. But yeah, so I get it, and I get the racial aspect because again, there's always going to be some racial aspect. But a lot of this comes down to NFL ruling and how they handle things and just how the NFL is fucked. Again, you could make a strong argument for the racial part of that too, and I'm not just denying that. But I think the main issue is the NFL just their rules, race withstanding, is just dumb anyway. And Myles Garrett was gonna get fucked anyway. And penalty was gonna get fucked anyway. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. And you got the added fuel on the fire with Mason Rudolph and this shit. And the fact that Mason Rudolph comes out and plays the victim too, this motherfucker here. This shows you that he has no idea or no clue as to what's going on. Again, this is separate Black thoughts that I can go in because I've experienced this at my job too, where you get that person. I'm just gonna say that person. Some of you know what I mean when I say that person who acts completely oblivious to the social ramifications of what they're doing and how they appear socially speaking in the public. Again, not gonna go deep into it, but Mason Rudolph, but yeah, he should be suspended. He definitely should be suspended. But the unfair practices and rule on top of what could be that, it's just dumb. But at the end of the day, none of this absolves Myles Garrett. We can sit here and argue about what Mason Rudolph should get and what he should not get. Bottom line, I can't say that I feel sorry for Myles Garrett or that there's some injustice being done towards Myles Garrett because he did that shit. That's the thing, he did that shit. He did some shit that people don't normally do in a very violent sport, which incites a lot of anger and rage in players on the normal. He went a step too far beyond that shit. It's just crazy. And he's gonna have to suffer the consequences. He's going to have to suffer the consequences. And it sucks because he's a pretty talented young man, and I just hope the NFL actually reviews this and takes into consideration things. And just be okay, you're gone for the rest of the season. We'll probably sit you out for 4 games next season, but we'll give you an appeal system to where you can you go ahead and show us that you didn't really mean to do this shit, and then we can reinstate you and shit like that. Because I've never heard of Myles Garrett being that type of person. It's not like he's a Vontez Burfict. It's not like he's like Burfict. I know Burfict came out and he made his comments the league, they didn't even care, blah blah blah. Motherfucker, you are a fucking menace. You've made yourself a menace your entire career. Shut the fuck up and try to cry oh, I'm so he's doing a Mason Rudolph too, trying to play the victim at the same time. No, Burfict, you're fucking nah. Dismiss that motherfucker, please. Do not wave a fucking torch for the campaign for Vontez Burfict, because am I saying his first name right? I don't even give a fuck. That motherfucker. Don't Don't fucking cry for him, please. He's never learned, and I don't think Myles Garrett is that type of person. I just think that whatever happened, whatever was said, it took him to a place that it shouldn't have, and hopefully, it'll never happen again in his career. But yeah, he has to be punished for it because that is unacceptable. Like, and again, from my perspective, it's unacceptable only because I don't want him to fuck himself because of what another guy said to him or did to him on the football field. Like, nah. Don't let this dude cost you your livelihood, your money, your freedom. Because Mason Rudolph ain't worth that shit. You know what I mean? So, that's how I feel about that. Alright. Done with that. Whew. That was a long video. Anyway, as always, you guys, feel free to hit me up. Let me know what you think. Oh, shit. I just hit something and that's going to stay in there because I'm not editing that shit out. Anyway, as always, feel free to hit me up. Let me know what you think. And I'll talk to you later. This your boy, Blak Vegas, and I'm out. Deuces.